And we're live.
What's the best World War II movie of all time?
Saving Private Ryan.
That would have been my vote too. I didn't want it to be lame, but that really is the best.
That is really good. I had Fury in my head, and then he said that, and I'm like, I want to switch.
Yeah, Saving Private Ryan wins. The real question is, what's the best Vietnam movie ever made? Because you could go back and forth between Full Metal Jacket, Platoon, Thin Red Line. There's a lot of really good Vietnam movies.
Definitely not Full Metal Jacket.
I think for me it might be. I liked it more than Platoon.
I liked Platoon more than Full Metal Jacket if you talk about the whole movie as an aggregate. Because Platoon never hits the peak of Full Metal Jacket's beginning, but Platoon maintains better throughout, I think.
I agree.
Whereas the really good part of Full Metal Jacket is more than undone by the really bad part. So I agree. Net, it's lower.
Yeah, you guys have the popular opinion. I liked the second half of Full Metal Jacket more than other people did. I also agree that it dips, that it's not as good as the first half, but I thought the second half was interesting too.
You shoot women and children? Yeah! How can you shoot women and children? It's easy. You just don't lead them so much.
Is Forrest Gump a Vietnam movie? Does that count as a Vietnam movie?
I consider that as well. It's such a small part of Forrest Gump, though. You know, it's such a crazy, spanning the breadth of that golden part of, I suppose, of American history. You know, it covers so much shit.
We all know, but Born on the 4th of July is the top Vietnam movie.
Yeah,
that was awful. That was hard to make it through. You haven't seen it?
No.
They had high aspirations, you can tell, right? It's like a 3-hour movie, 3.5, I don't know, super duper long. And they really wanted to make something that was great. But for me, it just drug on.
I forgot a couple. Apocalypse Now. You ever seen Apocalypse Now?
I'm sure I have. It's the plot's not.
I'm sure I've seen it. I don't remember much.
It's where Charlie Sheen's dad goes behind enemy lines to get a colonel who's gone crazy, played by Marlon Brando, who's I think he's maybe in Laos or something like that. He's across the border. He's gone crazy. That is a very good Vietnam movie, and it's weird. The Deer Hunter.
I've heard of that, but never seen it.
You're missing some very intense shit if you haven't seen Deer Hunter. There's a scene where Robert De Niro and Christopher Walken have been captured, and the Vietnamese are keeping them in this. They're on this bamboo shelter that's in the river. They're above the water, and underneath it, in the water, chest deep, or maybe even head deep, and they have to tread water and hang on to shit, are De Niro, Christopher Walken, and a bunch of the other GIs. And the Vietnamese above bring up 2 of them every now and then and make them play Russian roulette, and they bet, and they're hold them at gunpoint. I don't know if you want to watch that scene right now, but it's one of the best fucking scenes ever.
I honestly don't want to watch it because the way you're describing it, I want to see the movie now. It's just called Deer Hunter.
The Deer Hunter. And now to be fair, that scene's the best part of the movie.
Well, then I don't want to watch it right now.
The rest of the movie is a little meh, but that scene makes it a great Vietnam movie. Now another one, you probably forgot about this, but my personal friend, Mel Gibson, made a little movie called We Were Soldiers.
Ooh.
I've never seen We Were Soldiers.
You haven't seen that?
That is one of the best military movies of all time. It's also got that guy with that fantastic mustache, whose name's escaping me. He was in Big Lebowski. He was in Tombstone. And he's Mel Gibson's second in command. I believe it's about the first major battle of the Vietnam War. And it's also one of the first battles that the air cavalry were involved in. And Mel Gibson is the commanding officer of this air cavalry unit or whatever. I don't know military jargon as far as the unit sizes.
Oh, this one with Sam Elliott, the Marlboro Man guy. Yeah. Okay, I saw this a long time ago.
Very good movie. Very good.
I agree. Yeah, I really like that movie. And you don't know. I don't know my history that well, so I didn't really know how it was going to work out. I don't know if we're going to win, we're going to lose, who's going to make it through this thing. No, look,
Yeah.
like, you know how
No, that's fair.
the war, we all know how it goes, but the battle, like, I don't know the
Yeah.
battle. I don't know how that's going to go. And
I agree 100%.
it was fun to watch. I like
Yeah.
You know, a good like all-time war one, if we're just talking about all-time, was Downfall. Have you guys seen that?
About Hitler. Yeah.
It's a German movie, and so you have to read subtitles, but it portrays Hitler better than any movie I've ever seen. Because too often, like, I feel like in those movies, they go over the top with Hitler, where they make him like so evil that it's like, so at no point was like he trying to win or something. Like he was just all out for evil. But like with this movie, Downfall, they like show enough of humanizing stuff that it actually makes him scarier. You know, because it's like, it's the same way that if you're watching a serial killer movie and he's just just wanting to kill and there's no rhyme or reason, it's not that scary. But if it has like a thing where, you know, he'll sit down and have a cup of tea with a girl randomly at a tea party and you're thinking the whole time he's going to do something fucked up and then he doesn't. Like that adds more creepiness to it. There's another layer now to discover. You know, he's not just doing this willy-nilly. There's a reason for it.
Like Saw.
Like Saw, exactly. Like if Saw were just bloodless and like just bloodthirsty 100%, it wouldn't be as interesting. Like in the same way, they showed Hitler's madness and his evil, but they made it even creepier by showing like his like, oh, I like my dog, or oh, I really am getting along here. Oh, this lovely German couple or whatever. Like it felt more real than other World War II movies. And it gets fucking intense at the end, like when they're in the bunker. And I don't know what the fucking German actor's name is who plays Hitler, but he kills it. Kills it.
His name was Hitler, apparently, because he looks just like him.
He does look just like him.
He does an amazing job. What were you going to say, Woody? What it's like to be Hitler's friend, I hope?
Yeah, or someone in that class, right? You know, it doesn't have to be Stalin's friend, or even a guy who's really wealthy, but you know that he was awful to make it happen.
So I watched a ton of documentaries about both Hitler and Stalin, because once you get started on Netflix, it's like YouTube, it keeps feeding them to you. And in Hitler's case, he didn't have a lot of close people. The people that he trusted the most were the people that were with him in the very beginning when he was speaking out in those beer halls. And there was one guy in particular whose name's escaped me. He was cross-eyed. That's the most defining characteristic of him I remember. But he was Hitler's main bodyguard. And Hitler used to like joke around that like, I better hope that Heinrich back there is you know, being sharp on the day that someone comes for me. He might hit me instead. You know, he's like cracking jokes. And like that, and Himmler hated this guy. Himmler ran the SSS, I want to say, unless I've got
Bruno Gesch.
Bruno Gesch.
His name, yeah.
And Himmler hated how close this guy was with Hitler, because he was like Hitler's friend. Meanwhile, Himmler was like an underling who Hitler was always like pitting others against. So all of his underlings were always fighting for like Hitler's attention and praise and to rise in the party and to get more responsibility and more power. But this guy just seemed to be, he was drunk all the time. He'd get into arguments with other SS officers and pull a pistol out and like get violent. And he'd always get a slap on the wrist. And like, even when I think he pulled out a pistol and shot another SS guy.
Just undeserving of his post.
Yes. He seemed undeserving of his post, but incredibly loyal and loving of Hitler. And so that seemed, from all the documentaries I've watched and stuff I've read, to be as close as Hitler came to having a friend. Stalin, on the other hand, seemed to have no friends. Stalin was so paranoid and crazy that he was liquidating anyone who would like. Most of the people that he kept with him for long periods of time were either so stupid that he really picked people who were stupid loyal. Like they were stupid enough and loyal enough that he knew that they
easy to manipulate.
They wouldn't aspire to try to take over for him, and they were dumb enough that they couldn't if they wanted to, which you would think would work against him. But he was very successful at what he tried, at the things he did. You know, they called him the Iron Man for a reason. He's a real evil person. He killed millions and millions of people.
Yeah,
maybe that's too evil then. And I wonder what it's like to be a friend with someone is there a super wealthy, old school, old money American family, starts with a V? Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt.
I'm thinking of.
So you're thinking of like old, like Vanderbilt or who's the
Rockefeller.
railroad guy, Rockefeller or
Rockefeller and
the
Standard
Rothschilds with like all the central banks
Some
and
of
everything,
these
like
guys
the
made
old
their
families.
money kind of ruthlessly. They would just really twist the knife and put other people out of business and ruin families and fortunes so that they could be richer than rich. Like these are people who wanted for nothing, whose great grandchildren were going to have more money than they could spend, and they're still twisting the knife. And it's like, but if you're their friend, is it like, dude, fucking Rockefeller's great. We go out fishing. He's really sweet. Loves dogs. Meanwhile, he's a life ruiner.
It's a good argument against straight up libertarianism because it's like, because this is what you're going to get. You're going to get a handful of people who control fucking everything. Like if you don't, force, them to break up or have some monopoly control.
You and your politics talk, Taylor. No, I'm just kidding.
No, totally.